Alright, we've waited so long for this. It's finally here. It's finally happened. Everybody get ready to nerd out hardcore because we're going to talk about Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. Star Wars The Force Awakens is directed by J.J. Abrams and is the newest installment of the Star Wars franchise. Now before I get any further with this review, this is going to contain major spoilers, so any of you that haven't seen the movie, stop watching now. But if you don't care about spoilers and that kind of thing doesn't bother you, then, well, welcome. Ever since the first trailer for this movie dropped around this time last year, I think it was, we've all been pumped, we've all been so excited to see what was happening, but is it good? Yes. Yes, it is. Episode 7 takes place approximately 30 years or so after the events of Return of the Jedi, and not everything is good. The movie starts off plain and simple telling you in the opening crawl that Luke Skywalker has vanished. He's completely gone. The replacement of the Empire, which is called now the New Order, they want to find him and they want him destroyed. They want him gone. And it's also revealed in the crawl that Leia is trying to find him. You know, we're introduced to a new character in this movie, Poe Dameron, played by Oscar Isaac. He's the best star pilot in the galaxy right now. He's on a mission. He's on a mission to retrieve a piece of a map that is supposed to lead to the location of where Luke Skywalker is hiding out at. And this is when we're introduced to the character of Kylo Ren. Now, Kylo Ren, from the trailers and from everything that we have read and heard about him leading up before the events of the movie, you know, we kind of suspected that he was kind of a Darth Vader fanboy. Kylo Ren is probably the most developed character in this movie. He's after Luke Skywalker as well. He knows that Poe knows information of Luke's whereabouts, so he goes to the planet where Poe is to try and sabotage it. We're also introduced to the character of Finn. Now, Finn is a stormtrooper. Finn does not like being a stormtrooper. After seeing people murdered, after seeing what the New Order does, he does not want to have any part of it. So he escapes pretty much, and he rescues Poe Dameron. And you know, Poe essentially asks him, "Why are you doing this?" And he says, and Finn says, "Because it's the right thing to do." He says, "I don't want to be a stormtrooper. I can't do that. I don't ever want to go back to the New Order." And the character of Finn in this movie, I really thought Finn was very character driven. You know, all he wanted to do was find his place. He just wanted to do the right thing. And you felt for him so much in this movie. Also introduced in this movie is another new character by the name of Rey. And she's kind of like what Luke Skywalker was in A New Hope. You know, she doesn't really know her parents at all. She lives on a desert planet out in the middle of nowhere. She's a scavenger. She scavenges parts off of all the old, like, Star Destroyers and everything. A scene in the movie where Finn and Rey are trying to find a ship to get off of the planet Jakku. You know, Finn was like, "What about that ship over there?" And Rey's like, "No, that's garbage. Well, this one will work." The one that they're gonna take essentially gets blown up, and then Rey is like, "Okay, the garbage is fine." Then it immediately cuts to the Millennium Falcon. And I was like, fuck yes. Literally seeing the Millennium Falcon take off again was awesome. And then you kind of learn, you know, that Han Solo lost it again because he's gone back to his old smuggling ways. He had, I'm assuming, lost it in a bed. It was taken from him. He says it was stolen from him. At this moment in the movie where Han's asking them, "What are you doing on this ship?" And then Finn and Rey are telling him, "We're trying to find the Resistance because we have information that leads to where Luke Skywalker is hiding." The moment that they say Luke's name to Han, you know, you see Han just like stop, and you see all the emotion come on his face, and that right there got me because I'm thinking, oh God, what happened to Luke? What does Han know that we don't know? Then we find out, you know, that Luke was training a new generation of Jedi, and one of his students, you know, just completely turned on him and just ruined everything that Luke had worked and built. And then that's when Han says, you know, "I used to not believe in the Force. I used to think it was just a big joke, but it's all real. Everything, the Force, the dark side, Luke Skywalker, it's all real. It's not a myth." A lot of shit happened, and it's taken a toll on Han because you realize that Han and Leia are not together in this movie. Han takes Finn, Rey, and BB-8 to a planet where he knows somebody that can help them. Han introduces them to this character of Maz Kanata. Now, Maz Kanata, a lot of people had a problem with her. I didn't have a problem with her. I thought she worked really well. She wasn't overly done. You know, she wasn't given a lot of screen time. The moments that she was there, it worked. You know, she wasn't overused at all. Even Han said, you know, Maz Kanata's ran this place for thousands of years, so you kind of get the feeling that Maz Kanata knows a lot about everyone. And she even tells Finn and Rey, you know, "I've seen the same eyes in different people." And it's at this point that Rey starts to hear a baby crying, and nobody else can hear this. And I'm thinking, okay, what's going on? What aren't we being told about Rey at this point? She's led down into what I'm assuming is the basement of this pub. This voice, this crying, it leads her into this room where there's a chest, and inside this chest she opens it up, and it's Luke's old lightsaber. You're the one from Empire that he lost. How the fuck? I don't even know how the fuck this ended up there. Seriously, it's still a huge question to me. It's like, how the hell did Maz Kanata get this thing? But when she touches it, she's shown a huge vision. This vision, it shows Kylo Ren, and you can hear Yoda talking, you can hear people screaming, and then you remember from the trailer when it shows Luke put his hand on R2, it shows that. It scares the hell out of Rey. She looks over and Maz Kanata has seen her, and she's like, what just happened? And Maz Kanata was like, that lightsaber, that belonged to Luke, and it belonged to his father before him. And she's telling her, and now it's calling to you. Essentially, Maz Kanata gives Finn the lightsaber since Rey didn't want to take it. Let me tell you something, when you hear that lightsaber fire up for the first time, it's like, woo! And something I noticed about this is the lightsaber effects in this movie were a lot different. Did anybody notice that? Even the sound of it, when Finn lit it up for the first time, it just sounded different. I don't know, it didn't look fake, it looked more real. Whereas in the prequel series, you could tell that the lightsaber effect was very fake. But I don't know, in this movie it just looked a lot better. It looked a lot more polished than it did in the prequels. I don't know, maybe that's just me. Another thing we learn is that Kylo Ren is in fact the son of Han Solo and Princess Leia. I did not see that coming. Kylo Ren was being trained by Luke to become a Jedi and was the one that turned on him and became evil. And that's why Luke vanished. He felt responsible. We do learn in this movie that Rey has the ability to use the Force. I liked it, but at the same time it was weird. She picked up on it so quickly. Another thing I didn't mention is that we're also introduced to what's called the Star Killer base in this movie. It's where the First Order operates out of. Is a Death Star. So yeah, they have to bring that thing down because once again, there's a weak spot. I think the Empire would have learned from the last 3 movies that let's not make a structure that has a weak spot. But no, it's got a weak spot, they gotta bring it down. And it's at this point in the movie where Han tells Leia, we each had to handle this on our own ways. I went back to being what I was good at, you went back to being what you were good at. She tells him, bring our son home. I just want my family back. Han is like, if Luke couldn't get through to him, what makes you think I can? Leia tells him, Luke's a Jedi, you're his father, bring him home. See, I can't even talk about some of this stuff without this part of this movie made me tear up, Just the emotion in it was so well done. The dialogue was so good in this movie. When Han and Kylo Ren come face to face, you learn that Kylo Ren's name is Ben. It's Ben Solo, which I'm guessing they got that from Obi-Wan Kenobi. And it's at this point Kylo Ren tells him, I am dying inside. I can't live with all this pain. He's like, I don't know how to deal with it. He's like, and he says to Han Solo, can you please help me? And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, oh wow, Han Solo just got through to him. He's gonna bring him back. And then Kylo Ren kills him. Before Han Solo dies, he touches Kylo's face and he falls off into that conveniently placed pit that was right there. Not so much that as it was Chewbacca's reaction. Chewbacca's reaction to Han dying is what killed me the most. Chewie just watched his friend get killed. Somebody who's been with him through everything. Chewie owed Han a life debt, but they were best friends. Chewie loved him. He freaks the fuck out. Chewie rages out. Was this the first time that we've ever seen Chewbacca fire that crossbow? Because I know he's had it through the original trilogy, but I don't remember if he's ever actually fired it. And Chewie actually ends up shooting Kylo Ren. He wounds him. He doesn't kill him, but he wounds him pretty bad. Finn goes up against Kylo Ren with the lightsaber, but Finn gets his ass beat pretty much. He's no match for Kylo Ren because Finn's not familiar with the Force. He doesn't have that in him, but Rey does. Rey ultimately overpowers Kylo Ren in this movie. She gets the better hand and she takes him down. Another thing, it shows R2-D2 for about 4 seconds in this movie. And when you see him, he's not awake, he's shut down because 3PO tells BB-8 that ever since Luke Skywalker disappeared that R2 just shut down. Towards the end of the movie, Rey flies off to this other planet, she lands on an island out in the middle of nowhere. It's an island in the middle, it's like an island out in the middle of this huge ocean. And at the top of this island, you see Luke motherfucking Skywalker just up there chilling. Yeah, Luke's only in the movie for about 30 seconds. I was so mad at that. That pissed me off so much because this whole movie's built around the fact that they're trying to all find Luke and that Luke's disappeared. I understand at the same time. when it shows Luke, he doesn't say anything. He has no lines. He doesn't even talk. But when it shows him, he turns around and he takes his hood off. And it's at that point you can tell that Luke, as a person in this movie, is just, he's given up. He's lost all faith in everything. He's just so worn down now after what happened. After, you know, after feeling responsible for what happened with Han and Leia's son. And you can see that look on his face. You know, his hair's really long. He's got the huge Obi-Wan beard. His clothes are completely weathered. He's got the old, you know, he's got the old Jedi robes on, like what Obi-Wan had on A New Hope. But just the look on his face is just, it's just pure sadness. And it was, I think had he said any lines, it would have ruined that scene. Because just seeing him and just the chemistry that it showed with him and Rey on that last few seconds of the movie, you could tell that she understood right at that moment what Luke had to go through. You can see it on her face, and you can see it on Luke's face too. You know, he's given up. He gave up. And now my quick thoughts on this movie. J.J. Abrams gave us the Star Wars movie that we've all been waiting for, and he gave us a movie that we've deserved. Watching The Force Awakens, it felt like it belonged with the original trilogy. There was not a lot of green screen, there was not a lot of CGI, a lot of practical effects were done in this movie, and he did it so well. You got very, very good character development, and there wasn't a lot of stuff that was overused. Everything was done so well. The story was, I mean, it had its flaws, I'll admit. There were some flaws with this movie that I didn't agree with. I didn't have a problem with Han dying. I knew it was coming. I didn't read any spoilers for this movie. I completely stayed off of YouTube. I stayed off of Facebook until I saw this movie. But I knew Han was gonna die. I knew right at that moment when he walked up to Kylo Ren on that bridge, I knew Han's gonna die right here. The opening crawl was so easy to understand. If you remember the prequel trilogy, George Lucas tried to use a lot of big words and a lot of shit that didn't make sense in the crawl. This opening crawl was just like, Luke Skywalker's vanished, people want to kill him, Leia's trying to find him. That's pretty much the whole opening crawl right there. Remember the scene in the movie where Kylo Ren was trying to pull Luke's lightsaber towards him and it goes past him and lands into Rey's hand? For a split second, I almost thought that when it went past Kylo Ren that it was gonna land in Luke's hand. I really thought that Luke was gonna be standing there with it and that he was gonna save the day. I think that was my only complaint really that I had in this movie, is that we didn't get to see enough of Luke. I wanted to see more Luke. I wanted to see more Luke Skywalker in this movie. Yeah, let me know what you guys thought about this movie. I mean, I thought it was great. I thought it was, this movie to me felt like that it belongs with the original trilogy. And you know, that's something we didn't get with the prequels. The prequels sucked ass. I'm not gonna lie, they all sucked. Star Wars The Force Awakens, have you guys seen it? What did you think about it? Please comment down below. Let me know what you thought. I wanna know your opinions. I wanna know what you were expecting going into this, what you thought when you walked out of the movie. So yeah, go ahead.